All right, again, sorry about that, folks. A little bit of technical difficulties yet again this week. If anyone is a good producer or anything like that, or knows a lot about computers and YouTube, we'd appreciate it.
We need a third employee.
Yeah, exactly. We did. It's just us two guys, so
we don't have a team.
Bar with us. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But we were just talking about that Minnesota game, and we were in high hopes, of course, going into Sunday's game versus Michigan State. And unfortunately, it didn't work out too well for us. It wasn't electric Chrysler Arena, but Michigan does go down 77-70. That does bump Michigan into second in the Big Ten. Michigan did have 4 players in double figures, which did help. Simpson had 19 points to lead the way for Michigan. However, only 2 assists. Teskey with a double-double, 10 points, 11 rebounds. 4 players for Michigan State had double figures. Winston, of course, led the way with 27 points and 8 assists. G's boy Goins went with a double-double, 16 points, 11 assists. And G, this is exactly what we said could not happen last week during this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Cassius needing to be under control. We talked about McQuaid and Tillman and Goins needing to be manageable, and they were all awesome. Henry even played pretty good. I mean, he didn't shoot the ball well. He only shot the ball 3 times, but he played good defense. They literally just did everything that we said they couldn't do, and Michigan went 10 minutes without scoring more than 4 points in the second half, which really hurt them. So, yeah, it was not a pleasant second half experience.
Exactly, sure. And it's too bad too. Like we mentioned, electric atmosphere. The '89 team was there. The '89 national championship team was there. Mays out with the Shock the World shirts, which was awesome. Made famous by Juwan Howard back in the early '90s there when they were winning in the tournament and stuff. Part of the Fab Four. Sold out, loud, and just a dismal day in Ann Arbor. But you have some interesting things about the students, don't you, G?
Yeah, just a buddy of mine that goes to Michigan. He got in line at 5:30 when the wristbands for the student section got handed out at 5 a.m. was when they started handing them out. He was in line by 5:30, and he was already, I think he said, like wristband 590 something out of 800. So for that many students to be out there in that weather, I'm sure Chrysler was rocking, and it's just a disappointing performance for sure.
Yeah, just insane. And to be honest with you, as we look at like the team stats and stuff like that, it was a close game, folks. It was a close game. Every team stat was very close, and there was that one thing which G just alluded to, that cold streak that they went through in the second half that allowed Sparty just to build that lead, an insurmountable lead. Too little, too late to end the game for the Wolverines, and that actually leads it. That is my first M factor was the cold streak. It was a negative M factor. Of course, we lost the game, so it was a negative M factor. Cold run in the second half, and you mentioned what was it? 4 points in
10 minutes.
In 10 minutes, you just can't do that against. Really, you can't do that against
anybody in the Big
anyone
Ten.
in the Big Ten. Exactly, G. And that was another thing. That's been their MO all year. All year, all in the Big Ten anyway. In the Big Ten, they go on these non. I'm not gonna say scoreless streaks because a lot of times they do get free throws and stuff, but they go on these long streaks where they don't score a field goal.
Struggle to score.
Exactly, exactly. And we're talking long streaks. Like it was 4 points in 10 minutes,
and they don't. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
With the scores that we have, with the potential NBA prospects that we have, it does, with Michigan State having 2 of their best players out, it doesn't make sense.
It's really frustrating. And of course we had to hear it all weekend long from certain people.
Okay, you got to stay off social media after losses, man. You have to.
Really,
you have
our buddy our buddy Veach goes on social media blackout. Actually all media blackout. He does not watch Sports Center, does not watch read any newspapers and stuff like that.
You want to cry, man. It's one or the other.
I know exactly. But we heard it before the game on how from a lot of I'm not going to call them fair weather Sparty fans. I'm going to call them typical Sparty fans about how, oh, man, I just don't feel confident in this game. And I think me and you were both on the same page. We said, this is the game that MSU wins. Izzo is a great coach.
He just finds ways to pull this crap off.
It is unbelievable, and he always does it, folks. So I did, I was telling a couple of my buddies, your dad actually there, G,
he was taking me
on
off
Friday
pregame.
night.
He's like, I'm not prepared for this. State's gonna get blown out. I was like, no, they're not, dude.
I got to hear it all night Friday night. He was basically, oh yeah, I think they're gonna get smoked and stuff like that. So little shout out to you, Collier.
He's living it up. He's excited for this episode of the podcast.
Oh, I'm sure. Most of you Sparty fans are. I've already talked to a few of you, and I apologize if you're not seeing it right now. But I guess we do we got some more viewers back on and stuff like that. So tell your friends and stuff to go right to the YouTube page and check us out. Join in on the live chat. G's over there answering questions and stuff like that. So make sure that you get on there and go ahead and talk a little smack. Let's not forget there is a second game this year, folks.
Thankfully.
And G, do you remember how many yards the football team gained on us?
94.
Almost. I mean, think about it. You guys were almost scored.
You know what's funny is it's come full circle because for the last decade, Michigan State people have been able to talk about football almost the whole time. And now we're back to those early 2000s teams where we're like, let's just wait for football season.
Yeah.
It's back.
Well, I'm not, and I'm not going to say we're not waiting for that second game either coming up here in a few weekends.
I'm not looking forward to it now. I was so stoked for these two games. I was like, you know what? Even if Michigan loses one of them, I was thinking it would be the second one. You know, I was thinking we were going to win at home, maybe lose on the road. So now I'm like, well, crap, if we lose both, finish third in the Big Ten after we were third in the country a week ago. Like,
right.
It's rough.
Right. Well, it is the Big Ten, so we'll give them that. But so back to the M factors. I got another one, and this is what kind of killed us with Winston. And again, I never question Beeline. Beeline is a great a great planner, one of the best coaches, one of the most underrated coaches of all time, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Izzo just he coached well against us. He had a plan with Winston on that step out defense where Michigan plays on top of the ball guard. Yep. You know what I mean? Where he has the Teskey step out and stuff like that. And Winston was waiting for that all game long, and he got to the bucket. That's the problem. He got to the bucket because Winston's not a great 3-ball shooter. He's not great. You know what I mean?
3 in the game. I think the other thing that killed him was then Teskey started anticipating that he was jumping up when there was no screen being set. And Tillman got 2 open dunks from it.
Yep.
I'm like, Teskey, who are you guarding?
And you alluded to someone else playing some really crappy defense that game too, right?
I didn't notice it as much during the game, but after the game I watched, it's about a 2.5-minute clip of just Jordan Poole playing terrible defense. There was one instance where Iggy over-rotated, and Tillman was on the wing at the 3-point line. He's a 20% shooter from 3. And Poole rotated over to cover him, leaving Arns, who's like a 40% shooter, wide open in the corner. And I was like, wow. Like, I didn't notice that during the game, but it was super clear. And, like, there was probably 8 or 9 possessions where Poole just did dumb, boneheaded mistakes, over-rotating, just silly stuff that should be worked out this late into the season, especially for a good defensive team like Michigan.
Yeah, and I really didn't notice that because I was too busy watching Winston just shred our top ball screen and stuff like that. Yeah. Another excellent watch party here at the M Factor Studios. So no one really pointed that out. Normally it's something we don't miss. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
And then because I don't know, it was just like I said, I was enjoying watching the game. And even when we were in that cold streak, I was still optimistic. But then it just got out of hand. And you know what can you do? It's been Michigan's MO pretty much at the start of Big Ten play. Mm-hmm. And I just can't wait for the rematch now because hey, if Michigan turns it up and starts shooting like they did against Minnesota, you know, where they didn't have kind of a cold streak. I guess they had kind of a cold streak at the end, but they were kind of in their prevent offense.
Yeah, it was over.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's my prediction is still we play well at Breslin, and we have for the past, you know, I think we play well. Yeah. We play well, and don't get me wrong, it's going to be more tough, obviously, to win there than it would be
always
at Chrysler and stuff like that. But in the Big Ten, I'm more disappointed as we didn't hold court at home.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten, that's a must. It's a must, especially if you want to win the Big Ten.
Right.
If you want to win the Big Ten, you got to hold court at home and, you know, knock off a few top teams, just like Michigan State did on Sunday. Yep. Knock off a few top teams on their own court, and it was a shame. Any more to add over that nonsense of a game?
I mean, I guess we should touch on the bet.
Well, I do have that under here. It was going to be at the end. So, G, let's remind us of that bet again, will you?
So we decided to bet on the over-under for this game of total points, and I bet under and the over hit. So I have to cut my hair.
It is about time, buddy. It's about time. Man. I know a lot of people, like, this was kind of a win-win for a lot of your family and state, wasn't it?
No.
For your family that are state fans?
All my family are state fans. They were rooting for state, and they all hate my hair, so they were rooting for the over, and they got both. I was at the Hunt Club, and I just kept saying the worst situation is Michigan loses and the over hits. So here we are.
In G's defense, folks, we did not know the over-under when we made that bet. So we kind of just walked into that one, right? So
can we make it something other than my hair?
No, sorry,
Can I
buddy.
Wear a Michigan State hoodie for a day or something?
I mean, we got a top-notch show to host here. We can't have you looking all scruff McGruff every. Once we get these technical settings down and we don't have a bunch of delays in our show, you got to start. I assume you're gonna. Maybe the next bet will be have to wear a tuxedo or something like that with the haircut. Clean shaven and everything.
We'll make a bet for the second Michigan State game. I'm just.
We have to. We have to.
Sure. I'll be our guinea pig on big games. We'll make bets where I have to do outrageous stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what you get for being co-host, right? G?
Right. That's my job.
I get to make those rules, I guess.
Right,
so,
for sure.
So G will have to cut his hair before next episode.
Yeah.
That's this coming week, and we'll allude to that later on in the episode. So, let's rock to some other scores there,
sure,
G, and some other highlights. We had Purdue barely escapes Nebraska 75-72 earlier, and they will remain tied with MSU for the lead.
They're down by one at halftime right now.
Let's hear it, G. What do you got? What do you got on that score right now?
33, Purdue 32,
and that's at Purdue, folks. That is at Purdue. So that is
game.
Not.
And our guy Carson Edwards is actually playing pretty good because he's not playing a good team. So he's 4 of 6 with 9 points. It's the rest of his team that's playing like crap.
The usual, right? Isn't
right.
that? Isn't
Beats
that
up on the bad teams?
That's incredible. So Duke, after losing, another big story was in the past week. That is Duke after losing Zion, they lost big to UNC that night, 88-72. We were kind of given the live updates on that. However, they did beat Syracuse on Saturday. They dropped to number 3, of course, rightfully so, and then. Right. They lose big to Vatech last night. What happened there, G?
Man, I just think Vatech has played some good basketball and some bad basketball this year, and last night they were on. They played really well. Duke struggled. RJ Barrett really didn't get going until the second half. Blackshear played great, double-double for Virginia Tech, including 23 points. They had another dude, Hill, hit 2 big threes in the game. He finished with 17. Vatech plays well at home. The announcers kept alluding to it. They've played on, what was yesterday's date? The 25th? 26th? 26th.
Yep,
They've played on the 26th like 5 times in the last 10 years, and Vatech has won 4 of the 5 against Duke. So just like some crazy
That's an odd stat.
Random
That's
stat.
A very odd stat.
Yeah, for some reason they always end up playing on that day, and Vatech seems to play well. So, like I said,
I just never considered Vatech a very good school in basketball, but they're always right there.
I was a great coach. He did well in Marquette before, and he's doing well there now.
Just unaware. One of those teams that I kind of look by when I'm looking at the top 25 and stuff like that.
Well, and they got blown out by Virginia at home earlier this year. But they've been playing.
I do remember that because
22-6. They'll be a top 15 team next week, I think, if they win this weekend. Which this weekend they have to go to Florida State, which would be a huge win.
That's another tough one
to win home against Duke and then at Florida State in the same week would be big for them for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So other top 5 teams was Gonzaga obviously rolled over the weekend, and Virginia kind of rolled over. They had a big win over Louisville, and neither team they don't play a ranked team the rest of the season. Neither team. So I gotta say they'll be at the end of the regular season top. My guess is top 2.
They'll both be
top 2.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think at the end of the regular season?
Going into their conference tournament, they've locked up 1 and 2.
Absolutely, and I do. Let's the conference tourney for the Zags. The Zags should obviously win their conference tournament.
But for Virginia, the conference tourney could be a lot. It could be
exactly. And of course, you're only going to have 1 loss in the conference tournament. So or 0.
Right. You either have 0.
One team has 0. Everyone else has 1. Right.
Right.
So and one of the teams that you really like was Virginia. So I kind of got to give you props there for that one. However, one of the teams you also like is Tennessee.
Right now.
Ooh, and they lost an OT to LSU.
Yeah.
And what happened tonight,
G? They squeaked out. We were watching it.
They did for real.
They won by 2. Yeah.
That wasn't an OT or anything, was it? That just occurred, folks.
They trailed the majority of the last few minutes. For about the last 7 minutes, they were down, and then they were able to pull it out at the end. But just looking. I mean, and Ole Miss is above 500 conference team. They've got some scores. I remember I watched them beat Mississippi State earlier this year, and they played really well. They're not a bad team, but Tennessee is struggling, especially on the road. But that loss to LSU and now a barely win to Ole Miss is.
So they've lost 2 of the last 4 now, but it was going to be 3 out of the last 4.
I picked them as the second best team in the country, and that's not looking so hot. It's looking more like because I said outside of Duke, who's the best? When Zion's healthy, outside of Duke, who's the best? And I said Tennessee or Virginia, which Virginia's looking like a lot more viable.
That's kind of changing
Yeah,
boy, after,
absolutely. Especially with Zion's injury.
Yeah, after the Zion injury, that definitely changed the outlook of college basketball. And in fact, we'll move on to our number one seeds here.
Yeah, you go ahead with yours if you want.
The number one seeds I have for still, I got Gonzaga, Duke, Virginia.
Okay.
And then my squeaker team last week, remember I picked Michigan as my other number one seed, but I said I could either be proven a genius or proven a dummy. Yeah. And that loss to MSU obviously cuts them right out of it. Right. So my new sleeper team is a team that actually Michigan destroyed, but UNC is playing outside their minds right now.
Okay.
Did you see the game last night?
Yeah, they looked...
the kid scored like 30-some points or whatever for UNC.
They're a good team.
And I still have, of course, watching out for Kentucky on the outside. And then I have MSU, depending, again, on that last game of the season.
And MSU's health, I think, is crucial.
It hurts them. Well, I think they're still thinking that Ward's going to make it back for the Big Ten tourney. Yep. And, it's just like MSU to turn it up and for this to be like kind of like this is their inspirational. Yeah. We lost some of our best players. We've played without some of our best players the whole season long. It's not like it's just this isn't a recent occurrence, right?
Right. No, they played without people all year.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you got, G, for your number one seeds?
I've got Gonzaga and Virginia 1-2. I think everybody does at this point. I've got You're gonna dog me for this. So I went into this with more of the mindset of who do I think the committee will pick as the 4 number 1 teams come the end of the year. So I put Kentucky 3 just because I feel like the committee loves Kentucky. I think Duke's gonna drop now that they lost.
Okay.
I gave my 4th number 1 seed to Houston.
Oh no, Gee, I'll tell you what, I like it. I like that pick. I was curious on them.
Well, yeah, and that's my question: is what does the committee do with a team that has 1 loss, which potentially, if they win out, it would include 1 more good road win because they have to go to Cincinnati, who's a top 25 team, to finish the year. So if they win these next 3 games, they finish the season at 30-1 with 3 top 25 wins. So they're not like Gonzaga, who has 1 top 25 team. They've got 3 top 25 wins, which is almost as many as a lot of these teams up there are going to have.
I like that. I really do because I was looking at them earlier this week, and I said, ooh, man.
Yeah. Now, granted, one of their top 25 wins is against an Oregon team that has not had the year that they were supposed to have.
Who's their 1 loss to, G?
That's a good question. I can answer that.
Yeah, as we go, as you look through that, I'll tell you what, that's a great pick, and let's not forget how close they were. If it wasn't for Jordan Poole of rocking, it would have been Elite 8, right? That was Sweet 16
their 1
game.
loss is at Temple by 4, so competitive and a tough conference road game.
Terrible. Not terrible.
Michigan lost to Penn State.
Yep.
In conference play, anybody can lose to anybody. Michigan State lost to Illinois, whatever.
And that's not a terrible loss.
You can't knock a 4-point loss, right?
So they're a 4-point loss away from being undefeated,
exactly.
Right? With a possible Elite 8 team. It took a miracle shot from Jordan Poole last year to beat them. They still have the man bun, dude?
I don't believe so. I believe he's gone.
Well, he was good.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, I believe
can't really dog him because he was really good, but goodness gracious.
Yep.
That trend did not need to stick. Don't be coming up here in a man bun, G.
I'm going to wear my hair I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to put it in a man bun.
No. You just wear the hat, right? And then unveil it at the end. Right. Well, hopefully we have some technical difficulties for that one because we don't want to see that. No one wants to see that jazz. So we'll move on. The next topic basically is, and this really took a hit this last weekend, is Michigan's chances. Are they gone to win the Big Ten season? Obviously, they're pretty much gone to win it outright. Purdue must lose. Again, they're playing Illinois right now. Michigan, of course, must win their last 3. They must shoot the way they're capable of. And the Big Ten is tough. And to be honest with you, a question that has arisen, and I'll ask you this, G.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe it at the time because traditionally Beeline's teams always tend to peak at the end of the season, right? But do you think, and I am not against this statement, but do you think that they peaked a little too early this year?
I don't know if I would go as far as to say that they peaked early, but they probably played the best early season basketball I've ever seen a college team play. They showed no weaknesses early on in the year. The guys who were supposed to score scored. The guys who were supposed to lock down on defense locked down. Xavier didn't turn the ball over, this, that, the list goes on. And all of a sudden, I think maybe they just came out fired up this year, and some of the guys that were hot early just aren't hot anymore.
Exactly.
And it's going to be a struggle to find scores. So I don't know if I'd say they peaked early or more of just everybody was at their peak. Well, so I mean, maybe. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't think there's like no chance they can still do well in the tournament.
Absolutely. And that's not what I'm saying. What I was saying though is I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily disagree with this statement. Is did they peak too early? I had a couple sports radio shows that I listened to brought that up, and I thought it was asinine at the time. I basically said, no way. Beeline's had every season. He seemed to play very well at the end. Yeah. However, we've seen it with their shooting. Yep. We've seen it with their shooting as of late, especially in Big Ten play, especially on the road. Boy, and you know what? To be honest with you, we've seen it a decent amount at home too, which kind of scares me.
Right.
But I guess I just don't really disagree with that statement. I hope it's not true, but one other thing that has been kind of uncharacteristic of Michigan and Beeline's squad this year is their three-point shooting, right? Mm-hmm. They've been 1 or 2 to end the regular season in the Big Ten. This year, they're 7th, possibly 8th right now. I know they're at least
bottom half of the league.
Yeah, I mean that's uncharacteristic of Michigan and of Beeline's Michigan anyway. So did they peak too early? I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where you had a lot of guys still playing hot after maybe still riding high off last year's run that they had. A lot of young guys. We alluded to this.
And some chances to win big games early, right? You play Villanova early, you play Purdue in that early little Big Ten stretch, and then of course the North Carolina.
In a matter of like 3 weeks, we played those 3 very good. Turns out Purdue is pretty good, so we played 3 really good teams,
and then there was a stretch where it was kind of a lull with just like some boring games. And I think that Wisconsin game might have snuck up on them a little bit, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we've got some real kinks in this that we need to work out, and they're struggling to get through those.
And I. Trust me, if anyone can get through them, it's Beeline. So True. It's not that I don't have any faith of that, but at the same time, they have a chance to lose the 3 other last 4. If they got at Maryland, we still got Nebraska at home, who doesn't really scare me this year. If you were to at the beginning of the year and you said, "Oh, you got Nebraska," I was like, "That's a big game. That's a big game for us." But Nebraska is severely underachieving this year.
I think they're the biggest disappointment in the league.
I would.
In the Big Ten?
Boy, there's not. Maybe them or Ohio State, one of those two.
Yeah.
Both teams.
But Ohio State's still a bubble team. Nebraska's pretty much out.
I'll tell you a team that really disappointed me once Big Ten started was Indiana. Yeah. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, what did they lost? Like 11 of their – well, they won last night, OT. Yeah. Yep. So 2 out of their last, 13?
Yep.
And what was that other? Who's that other one against?
You just love to take every dig you can.
Well, why not? I mean, we've been hearing it all week, and we've still got one more game, folks. You don't get to play us once this year, in the regular season. You'll see us in the tournament too. So whatever.
I hope.
So yeah, and let's face it, if we win with Maryland's loss tonight, who we didn't say yet. Maryland loses tonight against Penn State. Got rolled. What happens? That means Michigan probably, more than likely, just wrapped up at least a 2-round bye. Yeah, 2-round bye in the Big Tourney. However, do they like that? I don't know. I think we
talked about that before.
I really think they enjoy playing the underdog.
Yeah.
They really do. They need something not tragic. We don't want anything tragic to happen because heaven forbid we lose a big player to injury. Right. Yeah, no, we don't need a plane crash or anything like that. But we do need something to really, because I really think that win streak that they had before they lost to Wisconsin, I think you said that correctly, G. Was all of a sudden, holy crap, we lost to Wisconsin. We played terrible, and Wisconsin pointed out a lot of flaws.
Right.
One of 2 things that did. One, it pointed them out for Michigan, but it also pointed out for all Michigan's opponents,
everybody
right?
Else, yeah.
So everyone's out gets to see what their
formula to beat
exactly,
Michigan.
Exactly. And everyone's kind of been playing that way, right? Because we really we haven't had a solid blowout game where I wasn't just white knuckled the whole game. Just like, oh my goodness, Minnesota, the first half, I felt confident, but even they kind of made a game out of it at the end.
They outscored Michigan in the second half.
Yeah.
There hasn't been too many times where I can just relax and enjoy the game.
Well, I don't think we're going to do that the rest of the season.
I think we're going to get many more. Yeah, I think that's
the
over
rest
with.
of the season.
Yep.
So, thoughts on the Big Ten tourney and seeding for the NCAA tourney as of right now? In terms of the Big Ten, I got obviously Michigan State. We'll have Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan, and I believe Maryland still holds court
Yep.
on that 4 seed.
Well, because Wisconsin
even though
lost
Wisconsin
last night.
lost,
That's
when
why,
Wisconsin lost,
Wisconsin lost. Yep.
Yeah, so you got 2 round buys for those guys, so they won't be playing till Thursday of the Big Ten tournament.
Which will be
or
nice.
Pardon me, no, Friday, Saturday, right?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if they win. Yep, you're right.
So yeah, they got they'll have a Wednesday, Thursday off. So going into that, as of right now, it could just go either way, and it's tough to really put it into perspective. But I still think now it looks like Michigan State as a 2 seed, possibly Michigan Purdue as a 3 seed. You know what I mean?
I got Purdue as a 4, but yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because I still think the Purdue, I think, wins out tonight. They're in a little bit of a dogfight.
That's fine, but they're going to lose in the tournament. They're not going to win the Big Ten tournament, I don't think. So I've got them as a 4.
Okay.
They're up 9 now, by the way.
Purdue is?
Yeah.
So starting to pull away.
Probably going to sneak out of a trap game for sure.
It is at Purdue, so
right.
And it's not like they don't have a lot of big games left. So,
no.
So Big Ten chances gone to win the Big Ten? Of course not. Still mathematically possible. Just highly unlikely.
But
we need
but
they're
Illinois
still right
to make
there.
a little run tonight and beat Purdue, and then Michigan's got to beat Michigan State to share.
Yep. But let's get Nebraska and Maryland out of the way first. Just like before. So we'll move on to kind of an off Michigan topic, but a very big topic in college basketball this year.
Yeah.
And this is, for many of you who don't know, actually, G actually said it live on air last week, was Zion, when he blew out his shoe, came out of the game. And at that point, we did not know if it was severe or not. The day after, obviously, it was just a minor knee sprain or a grade 1 or whatever they call it.
Which I do, before we get into that, I want to say that I think they're doing the absolute right thing, being super careful with it. Because if they rush him back and he gets hurt, A, it hurts him, B, it hurts them in the tournament long term. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's going after this year. They know that. So they're like, well, we got one shot at this national championship with him. Let's be careful. Because let's be honest, they're going to be a 1 or 2 seed. They could lose out and be a 2 seed, right? Probably, maybe 3.
If Barrett continues to play well, they could still win out. They just need to get it out of their mindset.
What I'm saying is, even if they sit him and lose out, they're still a 2 seed, and then
hands down a
reason
minimum
for him to play before that North Carolina game to end the season, in my opinion.
I agree. I would agree, and I don't think I'm not against him not playing the rest of the season or in the tournament.
That's right.
I'm not, and I basically did a little list of pros and cons in my mind. I've been thinking about it since, and so it was pretty funny how right after that the NBA wanted to abolish that 19
the day after. I think that was kind of
exactly. It was the day after, right after Zion's injury, and of course they said it had nothing to do with it, right? It had nothing to do with it. Okay, no, whatever. But some of the pros and cons. I mean, the pros of sitting out the remainder of the season. Not that this really matters, but Nike is gonna pay him triple millions. You know what I mean? We're talking in the hundred million. They have to. They can't let any other shoe company outbid Nike, and all the other shoe companies are going to do is just drive up that cost, right? Keep going and going and going. And what a debacle it would be for Nike if they lost Zion, not only because of this, but as just the product that he is for them. They just can't do it. So I can see where, most NBA pros get most of their money from endorsements and stuff like that, or not most NBA, but most stars, most big name players.
Which Zion is a star. Let's not get that twisted. He's already a star athlete.
Absolutely. He has the body. He has the body to succeed in the NBA.
I'm saying even if he doesn't, he's already a star. You know how many million? I could go off about the whole whether college athletes should be paid or not thing. But
we'll save that for another
The
topic.
reason that I think this becomes a problem is Zion is risking his future for a university that is giving him a college scholarship as payment, right? You're not an employee, whatever. Here's the problem with that is if the NBA rule is they have to be there for 1 year only, they're not receiving an education. Granted, that's his choice to leave after a year, but you'd leave after year 2 if they were throwing tens of millions of dollars in your face.
It's a great point, G.
I completely understand where you're coming from, saying why would he bother coming back at all from the injury? And I get that people say, well, he signed a contract. No, he didn't. He's an amateur athlete. Technically, a scholarship is not considered a contract. Therefore,
we went over that before, right?
He has no obligation to the university to play.
Right.
Now, I think that he should play in the sense that they spent their time and energy and effort recruiting you. If you're healthy, you should play.
That's
right?
more of a moral thing, right?
I think that about. It's not that I think that he's being selfish if he doesn't play, because he is, but I get it. Same thing with the football players not playing in bowl games. I think they should play, but I completely understand why they're not.
I'll take a hard. My thing about going to college, a lot of these guys, well, they're all kids. They're all kids when they go to college,
yep.
right? They're all kids. One, playing college is a blast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's no way these kids don't have a blast. And
Exactly.
I know, they got to go get paid and stuff. We make the same comments in football and stuff like that, right?
Right?
Yeah. But winning an NCAA championship would be huge for a kid.
Yep.
Two, he's great for the NCAA, so obviously they want him to play, right? I mean, you turn on a Duke game specifically to watch.
For Zion,
him. 3, it makes you grow up. College
True.
makes you grow up.
It's as competitive as basketball as he's going to play.
You think that there's I can count maybe 3 exceptions, 3 Hall of Famers out of there was a lot of guys that went to the NBA straight out of high school that you never even heard of, right?
Yeah.
There was one year, I think there was like 20 draft picks that were straight out of high school. That's when they initiated this rule.
Right.
What do you got? LeBron, Kobe, and KG probably.
Dwight Howard just had a hell of a career. Amari Stoudemire had a great career.
They don't stick out in my mind. They don't stick out. Why? Because they were children when they came into this league and into the basketball league, right? Mm-hmm. LeBron was ready. LeBron had the body. LeBron was ready to go his junior year of high school, right? Yep. He could have went in the NBA. Kobe, basically the same thing. He was a little skinny, a little undersized. Yeah. KG obviously was freak. Still was he 7'1" still, and
he was
and just a freak. So most straight out of high school are just not mature enough to handle the league yet. It's a tough league. It's a tough league, and I'm not talking just physically, but mentally. It makes these kids grow up. You get 1 year, you get to hang with the boys, right? You get to hang out. You get that team unity structure and stuff like that. And it lets your body develop for another level of basketball. High school, college, pro, they're all exponential levels of basketball where you are that much better. Even if you go to a community college, you are that much better than 99.5% of all high schoolers out there. You know what I mean? Of all high schoolers out there. So in my mind, that is why I feel he should play. I would love him. I'd love to see him play. I think I'm on your side on this one. I'd love to see him play. 100% understand if he says, nope, not going to do it. Yep. He has the body to succeed in the NBA. I don't know if his skills are finely tuned yet, but you're absolutely right. He's a star already. He's a star already in the NBA.
Right.
Because I heard earlier,
NBA players are talking about him already. GMs are tanking so they can get him.
And here's the thing: I heard a couple of talk shows earlier this week that were questioning, do you still take him number 1? Here's the thing:
I already said he shouldn't be number 1.
My choice is you take him number 1. You have to take him number 1. You have to as a GM.
Why?
You'll be fired because you'll be fired. You're taking a star in the league. You're taking a star that's already in the league. Now, here's my side point to that, G, is I still think that Barrett is a better basketball player. I think Barrett wins Rookie of the Year over Zion, but you still take Zion number 1.
That's fair.
So how about that? That's my take on the whole Zion thing.
I genuinely don't know if his game translates to the NBA. There's not a player like him in the league right now, and I think that's for a reason. That doesn't have a jump shot at all. That's not 7 foot. Name a non-7-footer without a jump shot.
Exactly.
In the NBA,
I don't disagree with that at all. Because they were thinking like he's more like a Blake Griffin. I'm like, well, Blake Griffin's like 6'9", 6'10", isn't he? He's tall.
And Blake can shoot now. Blake developed a three-point shot. You know why? Because the NBA is evolving, and I just don't know how Zion's game adapts.
In a league full of three-point shooters and stuff like that, where three-point shooting is key, right? I know you're in a little more NBA, but I listen to a lot of the
three-point
radio
shot
shows
king
and stuff.
The last 5 years, and Zion doesn't have it.
Exactly.
And anytime he does shoot a 3 in a college game, he doesn't jump. In the NBA, I promise you're not getting that shot off.
Exactly.
Ever. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the guy who's going to guard him when they play the Bucks. Whatever team he plays for, when they play the Bucks,
right.
He's being guarded by the Greek Freak, who is 7 feet tall with a 7'6" wingspan. You're not getting a no-jump three-point shot
and plays defense, folks.
Ever.
No LeBron crap from last night.
Oh my goodness, that was terrible.
Yeah. I don't even know if we want to get in. Actually, I will get into that.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
It's actually it might be one of my questions
I
right
might
there.
Throw a party. But anyway,
in a league of people that don't really play a lot of hard defense, they're going to against him.
Exactly.
Simply because you're a rookie in the league. You're still a young guy. You're still young. And I'll tell you what, they're going to want to prove a point. To be like,
100%.
Don't
like
think
when
that
LeBron came in the league right out of high school.
Yeah, don't think your crap doesn't stink when you
You're
don't come into this
best
league.
Shot, yeah.
Yep. And again, it's an exponentially better level of basketball. So you are not playing ACC teams.
Right.
You are not playing these teams where you are physically superior to them.
I mean, think about
not basketball
who
skill,
is the best
physically
player
superior.
Who he has had guard him all year? Probably Rui Hachimura from Gonzaga, and he'll be a middle first round draft pick, and he'll be a role player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, maybe.
You're playing players like that every night.
Exactly.
In the NBA.
Exactly.
It's a different level, and I don't think his game translates. So I totally understand him wanting to be competitive and play, and I appreciate that from him. Had he gone the other way, and said I don't want to play anymore, I'm not going to knock the kid for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now you don't think the reason I think he should still be taken number one is there's no one's going to question if you take him number one. No. Now, if you don't, like I said, you're fired. You know what I mean? Did you just pass?
Out.
We just tanked the last half of the seasons for you to not. No, don't get me wrong. You could probably get a better player. You're not going to get a better star. You're not going to get a better star.
You're going to get a bigger name anyway.
Right. You could get a better basketball player. Like I said, I think Barrett wins Rookie of the Year next year just based on his basketball skills right now.
I'm going to write that down, and then when he doesn't, I'm going to bring it up.
Bring it up next year. Maybe we'll have our technical difficulties all set up by next year.
For sure.
Again, we're looking for a volunteer to
low budget operation over here.
Exactly. We'll float you a few bucks if you got a business.
We'll buy you dinner.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe buy you a beer or something if you're of age.
Yeah.
If you're of age. All right. So next, it's time for our one of our newer segments, and that's Call the Three. Call the Three, slowly becoming one of people's favorites, just because it's kind of just random and we don't really
shooting from the hip.
Yeah, exactly. And these are I like these questions this week to you, G, and based on the Michigan State game this past Sunday. And I've asked your dad these before. Who is your most liked MSU basketball player of all time? We'll say of all time.
Oh, man, I'm going to sound...
Obviously, you can't say this year because it's terrible.
I'm going to sound super lame, but I'm going to pick Drew Neitzel, man. I loved that guy. He was a skinny little white dude running around shooting threes, and as a kid in the backyard...
Wasn't he ambidextrous, too? Didn't they make that...
I'm left-handed, I grew up shooting basketball right-handed. Yeah, it was just... He was the opposite. He was right-handed, but shot lefty, I think. Or shot his free throws the opposite.
Great athlete for as short as he was
and
stuff. So.
The other name I would throw in there, though, is Shannon Brown. He had the cornrows and the headband. And
I remember Shannon Brown.
Dunked on everybody, and I was like, this dude's cold. I like Shannon Brown. So those two stick out for me. In more recent years, I like Darrell Summers. When they went to the Final Four with Draymond and Raymar Morgan, he kind of flew under the radar, but he hit big threes in big spots, so I liked him. Those are probably my top three.
Right on.
What about you?
For MSU, two pretty easy ones. Sean Resper. I used to love Sean Resper. Exactly, Sean. You remember AJ Granger?
Yeah.
By chance, Grange. Both of those guys, solid 3-point shooters, but Granger was just a tall white boy that could shoot threes. Came in off the bench for Michigan State during their national championship year. And I just liked him, low key, and we could go on. I think the list. I don't think we have enough time before the next Michigan game to list all of our most hated Michigan State players of all time. So, but that will go. Who is
your most hated though?
My most hated? Oh, Draymond by far.
Oh, really?
By far. Oh my goodness, I couldn't stand him.
You know who I hated? I don't know why. I hated Derek Nix.
Again. You're not going to catch me off guard on any of these people.
Yeah. You know who else I liked that I forgot about, though, was Mo P and Mateen Cleaves. I met them
those guys,
a few years ago. Those guys. Teams, they were cool. I like Jay Rich on that team. For a team that I don't root for, they've had plenty of guys that I like. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Draymond, and I hated Derek Nix. I don't know why. The guy never did anything to me.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't like Ward either.
Has there ever been a Michigan player that you were just like, I wish he wasn't on our team?
That's very funny because that's my next question to you,
really?
G. Yep. Next, number 2 on Call the Three is who is your most hated Michigan b-ball player of all time?
Ooh, of all time. Who did I dislike? I know you didn't like Stu Douglas, right?
No, I liked all
Douglas?
that. Yep.
No, I'm trying to think if there's anyone.
As soon as I say...
Am I forgetting somebody?
I don't think so. He was kind of. Now we were. It was. I'll give you a hint. It was in the Beeline era. It was. It was.
You know who I didn't like was Courtney Sims, that old point guard we had that was little. He wore the headband.
I remember Sims. Yep, I remember Sims.
Not a fan of him. That's really it, though.
Mine was Morris.
You hated Demo?
Oh yeah.
I thought of mine. I forgot about frickin' Jordan Morgan, that big one. He was so bad. I hated him.
Oh, you and buddy Chewy would get along well because he always made fun of him for like the worst hands of all time.
For real though, worse than Teskey's, and that's saying something because Teskey's got the worst hands of all time.
That's solid. That's solid. Oh, hopefully he's watching, or hopefully he's watched this because that's hilarious. That is hilarious. So, yeah, so that's really out of all my most hated, easily it was J-Mo because simply he just couldn't shoot.
My dad said, what about Lil Dockich, Andrew Dockich?
I didn't care much for him. The only reason I didn't
enough for me to
I didn't mind him until I found out who his dad was,
and then immediately hatred.
Then we talked about this earlier. How cool was that? We didn't have to listen to Dockich for the.
I really started disliking Dockich when he left Michigan to go play at Ohio State for grad school.
You don't do that. You don't do that. That's just a no-no, especially to OSU for grad school.
Right. Like when
they don't even have a program.
When
do
Spike
they?
went to Purdue, I didn't mind it at all. I loved Spike Albright, and when he played for Purdue, I was like, you know what? He wasn't going to play at Michigan anyway. Let him go to Purdue.
It's like saying I'm going to go to MSU for grad school to be like a veterinarian. Is that all they got? I don't know. Do they have like 2 graduate programs up there?
You're really. I feel like you're throwing more shade at State than normal because we lost. Like it's just.
No, ask a lot of Michigan State fans. It's because we just played them. Yeah, I wish we could have had the show after the football game, but.
True. Next year.
Well, no, it's just the nature of the beast, right? I just can't. I just threw stones at Ohio State too. So
that's true.
So yeah, number 3. Actually, the only reason I'm doing this one is because I had a few to ask you.
Okay.
But the only reason I'm doing this one is because we actually just kind of went over it. Was if LeBron misses the playoffs, does he lose his credibility as being in the Jordan conversation?
No. I think I didn't get to watch Jordan. I want to preface what I'm about to say with that for those of you who are around in the 80s and 90s and are going to freak out. LeBron James is the best basketball player I've ever watched. Whether you want to talk about his build, you want to talk about his physicality, you want to talk about his clutch gene in the playoffs and finals, don't tell me he's not clutch. I promise whatever player you're going to bring up in an argument, there's statistics that prove that LeBron is as clutch, if not more. He's a great rebounder, a great passer, a great scorer. There's not a part of the game that he struggles with other than free throws. No, you can't. I mean, he's won. What has he won? 4 rings now? 3?
No, I think only 3.
3? Okay, 3 rings. He's this, for those, like I said, I didn't get to watch Jordan. So if you want to put Jordan number 1 on the pedestal ahead of everybody, that's fine. You're gonna have a hard time arguing anybody other than LeBron is second for me.
Sure.
I think he's at least the second best player of all time, regardless.
I have my I have my pros and cons about both of them.
Sure.
The one I just hated Jordan because I was a big Bad Boys fan. Back in the day. And like you said though, you didn't get to see Jordan really play at all.
I watched him at the end of his career with the Wizards.
And that's my problem with this. That's my problem if he misses the playoffs this year. I don't want to see because Jordan. Let's face it, Jordan was 6 for 6 in the championships. Now he did have Scottie. But let's face it, LeBron besides 1 year remember when Kyrie and Love both got injured.
The first time he went to the finals and they got beat by the Spurs when he was young, they were terrible.
Right.
But
and the Spurs were obviously a dynasty.
But outside of that, he's had plenty of help.
He has. So I can't really
use that argument.
I will say in terms of any more recent athlete will have the physicality. In my mind, that's what I say. Like I'm like, I always bring up, okay, what's your measurables? And I'm always like, well, first of all, it's kind of 1-on-1 if they're kind of the same position.
Right.
If it's 1-on-1, LeBron is just a freak of nature.
Right.
Who are you going to put against LeBron? LeBron could guard Shaq and he could guard Iverson. You know what I mean?
Right.
Jordan was a great defender. Don't get me wrong, but he only guarded his position.
Right. That's true.
Jordan only had a few.
No, I think. Yeah, I think there's like you said, there's pros and cons to both, but I don't think you can take LeBron out with him. Granted.
No.
If they miss the playoffs, I'm not going to be mad because I'm not a LeBron fan.
All right. I'm not a Laker fan either.
I'm actually I want to put this on the record right now. I've been telling a lot of people this lately. The Sacramento Kings are up to something.
Ooh.
They're 8th or 9th.
I've kind of heard that through the grapevine
West.
too.
I said something about how they should have made a trade and that they didn't make, but they brought HB in. I love De'Aaron Fox. They got a young core. I just want to put it on the record. the Kings are up to something. Give it 5 years.
I don't think you're alone in that. I think thought, obviously.
Unpopular opinion. I think Marvin Bagley should be Rookie of the Year, not Luka Doncic. That's
no kidding. That's a little different.
I really like what the Kings are up to. So I'm not. So why I brought that up is because I think they're going to steal that last playoff spot away from the Lakers.
Yep.
And I won't even. I'll be super happy about it because I'm a closet Kings fan and a very open LeBron hater. So
fair enough. And like I said, I'm not a huge NBA fan. I don't watch as many games as G does.
Yeah.
But I do listen to most of the talk radio. A lot of the talk radios, sportscasters. They mentioned that as in the last couple of weeks because of how badly the Lakers are playing. I feel, and two, they're like, watch out for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
I think like one of my one of the herd. I listened to Colin Cowherd a lot and stuff. He was like, my sleeper team is like Sacramento. I said, Sacramento.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
All right,
buddy. We'll shift over to you. What do you got going on for?
My first one is that Duncan Robinson, mentioned a bit earlier, got his first NBA start this week.
Oh,
granted,
boy, Duncan.
He plays for the Heat and they're trash. And granted, they've had injuries, but Duncan Robinson was a Division III basketball player who Beeline scooped up, coached up. Now he's an NBA starter. So I'm curious if you think that is Beeline's biggest success story. Or
what a great question. Great question. I think you can label those. If you go to success stories, I think you could easily label it as, okay, what is it as a team and what is it as an individual, right?
Absolutely,
as an individual success, which I assume you're asking, obviously, individual success story.
Has he done a better job with any other players other than Duncan?
I would put that easily into the top three.
Okay.
Number one I have is still Trey Burke because he went from not a very highly touted
national player.
Don't get me wrong, he was recruited and stuff like that, unlike Duncan Robinson was, obviously. But I still think Trey Burke being the player of the year, Michigan's only Naismith player of the year ever, that says something, especially with people like Chris Webber and teams like that, Glenn Rice, a national championship team. And then two off the same team was Stauskas.
Yeah. Yep.
I still think Stauskas, because Stauskas also went to the pros, but Stauskas was a nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Was a nobody.
Right.
At least, and that's why I put Duncan at 3, because Duncan was still at college. You know what I mean?
He hate my dad so much.
Whoa!
He said getting Iggy from the rest home back into school. He's not that old, man. He's 20.
Oh,
but
he is 20.
Of Iggy, the only thing that I think compares to Duncan is his ability to find these undervalued foreign kids.
Absolutely. And what
Stauskas, Iggy, and Mo Wagner.
Yep, exactly.
But I think as one player, I don't think you can think of it.
Well, Mo Wagner from Germany. Right. We forgot about him.
Second thing, Johnny Manziel, did you hear the news today? Was forced to be released from his CFL team due to a violation of one of the conditions he agreed to with the league. This blocks him from being picked up by any other CFL teams. So my question to you is, what is next for Johnny Manziel?
Hold on, I got to know the reason. What was it?
It has not been
Substance abuse, I would assume?
It has not been announced yet.
Oh, goodness.
I would guess probably some sort of substance abuse because that's what it's been in the past.
Now, I know Johnny Manziel actually does who does he do it with? He does a podcast.
He was with Barstool for a little bit.
Was he? Okay. And I never actually listened to him, so I don't know how the show actually goes, if it's smooth, if it's all right. If they have technical difficulties just like we do. I don't know next for him. What about the
AAF?
Yeah.
That's my guess.
What do you think, man?
So a guy tweeted
it picked up ratings this last weekend.
Going back up. Well, they got a $250 million donation.
From the NHL guy. Yeah. From the NHL owner. How about that? NHL trying to help out the Pro Football League.
Right. I think that I think the AAF makes sense. I also think that aren't they restarting the XFL? Aren't they trying to start it again?
Next season.
I think, though, I could be wrong, but I believe that there's a rule with the new XFL that you cannot have a criminal record, which would make Johnny Manziel bye-bye. Yeah. So
which is crazy. Why wouldn't they want that?
My guess would be the AAF. I think last time the XFL was so like rough and tough. I think this time they want to be like more
See, I thought that
clean.
was part of its
right.
Part
it
of its
was,
charm,
and I think they want to go away from it this time. My third point: something happened in the Iowa game last night for the first time in Division I basketball history. Do you know what it was?
Well, you got to give me a hint on these questions.
It involved their head coach.
Oh, I saw this after the game. He was throwing out F-bombs and stuff like that about something.
The history of it was that him and his son, Connor, both received technicals in a game that the dad was coaching that the son was playing in for the first time in NCAA history.
You know, I just can't believe that's never happened before.
Yeah.
Well, I guess do you know how many coach father
I
father
feel like probably
father son
quite
coach
a few, though.
players?
Like Doug McDermott played for his dad at Creighton just a few years ago.
I mean, you would think these guys are good enough to obviously play. If your dad's a D1 coach, I would assume.
Like Dabo Sweeney's son plays football at Clemson for him, kind of thing. Yeah, there's been quite a few, but they're the first ones to receive technicals in the same game. And Fran McCaffrey was suspended for 2 games. He is now that's his. Their announcer got. Did you hear about their?
Are we talking Iowa still?
Iowa, yeah, Iowa's.
Boy, they were not happy campers.
Iowa's commentator got suspended for the year for calling one of the big guys for Maryland a potentially racist name.
From Maryland or Ohio State?
No, when Iowa played Maryland last week,
okay,
he called Fernando a potentially racist name. I think he called him King. I think he called him King Kong. So he got suspended for the
Can't
year.
do that, folks. That's
McCaffrey's
just,
out 2 games. Iowa's going off the rails. Pops wants to know when
but
McCaffrey's getting fired.
Do you know?
Do you think he's gonna? Do you think he'll get fired this year? I don't know. It's possible.
It's a good question, Jeff. No more Sparty questions.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing up some Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. Good work,
topics.
buddy.
What he didn't bring up was John Navarre, which disappointed me.
Oh, jeez. See, we're almost there. We're almost there.
I have a cheating. I brought 4 for this topic this week because we never talked about Kyler Murray declaring for the NFL, not the MLB.
Oh, we didn't?
We didn't.
Oh.
It's
a great question.
Where do you think?
You know what, G? Can we hold this? Can we hold this for next week? Let's hold it for next week because we still got. Well, no, we still have. We got some other quick news. Don't forget, we still got the Michigan.
Yeah.
Let's. We'll actually move on to that, folks. So
good
session to call the 3. Call the 3. And so we got some other quick news for you guys. Michigan looks ahead for Nebraska at home tomorrow night.
I want to say Michigan by 15, but who the heck knows?
God, why are we so? Please, just one game in the last 20, Michigan, to where I can just relax.
I just want to relax and watch basketball.
Wake up Friday morning. It's going to be a great weekend this weekend, and then we get Maryland. I pick Michigan. I'm picking Michigan by double figures, but it'll probably be a nail biter up until 5 minutes to go, and we won't be able to relax. But yeah, I'm looking forward to an extended weekend. Gonna have some good times with friends, and then we got at Maryland on Sunday. What do you think after tonight's game with Penn State just rolling?
I think Michigan looked really good against Maryland the first time. I think they'll win by – they won by 13 the first time, I think.
It was double figures.
I think
was it? Maybe it was just 11,
I think it'll be a little closer because it's at Maryland. I'll say Michigan by 9.
I like
something like that.
I like your statement right there. I just think Michigan matches up well against Maryland, and regardless of how we're shooting, because we shot like crap against Maryland at home. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe they like shooting over there in Maryland. Hopefully. So we'll see.
Got to find some gym they like to shoot in at this point.
Turns out it was the barn. The barn in Minnesota,
places,
out of all places. Yeah. Shoot almost 50% from three-point land there. Other than that, do you have any you got any big shows coming up or anything down at the Loft coming up here?
I got a little double show thing on Friday. I'm playing a little coffee shop in Grass Lake called the Roaming Goat from 6:45 to 7:30.
Where's that at?
Grass Lake.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm back down in Jackson 8:30 to 11:30 that night at Nightlight. So
double action, folks.
On Friday, yeah, gonna be a good time. And then I think that's all I'm doing this weekend.
So guys, get out there, go check that out Friday for both. Make it to both, and that's solid. But yeah, definitely get out there. CG is really good at what he does. So get your butts out there, go have a few drinks, maybe you'll see myself down there too. Maybe Friday night or something. I'm sure we'll be.
It's a walking distance.
Exactly. Exactly. Quick question: will you have short hair by then, G?
So okay, I did want to mention this. I'm very particular. Like when I do get my hair cut, one person is allowed to touch it. He's booked for the next 3 months, but he's going to try to squeeze me in. So I make no promises as to when it will get done. I want Jason to do it. So
we got to make this happen, man.
Hey, man, Jason might be tuned in. Just need
Jason
to find.
But I mean, he's got to look good for these shows too, man.
Yeah,
can't have him going out there.
Right. No, but no,
he's got shows Friday night.
I just don't want some bum cutting it, so I make him do it. But yeah, he's gonna try to squeeze me in. Pops did just mention one more interesting little thing.
What now, Jeff? What else you got?
Game at State is senior night for MSU. Pop says a win for McQuaid. Man, here's you know what McQuaid is one of those guys I just am not a fan of, but him and Kenny and Tillman rolling right now.
And they stepped it up. They stepped it up.
Like we said.
Like we said, the two situations that could not happen, they both happened.
Yep.
So
Villanova's up 10 over number 10 Marquette right now. Just a little.
As a side note, folks, to end the show, hey, we bounce back. Michigan, it's what we do. It's been how long? We might have the longest streak in the country right now without back-to-back losses. I thought I saw that
probably
a couple weeks ago, actually. So Michigan will keep it going. Beeline's really good at this. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in again. Sorry we ran a little late, but we did have a few technical difficulties. We will get this solved by next week, folks. I don't know if we're actually going to schedule. We'll just start scheduling live events, not on the actual YouTube channel. Right. We'll just put it as our thumbnail or something like that to say, hey, you guys know every Wednesday. Tell your friends, tell your family. Make sure they tune in next next Wednesday, 9 p.m. We'll be here to discuss the week in Michigan sports as well as Call the Three. Again, G, anything else to add, buddy?
I got nothing.
All right, folks, have a good night. Have a great weekend. Go Blue. We'll see you next week.